I was the quietest kid in school. I was not like a born salesperson or marketer. Like I literally was like small, quiet, hid in the corner. But I wanted to be the next Michael Jordan. Guerrilla marketing approach that the way you make people feel, the more you connect with people, the more you create an image where, yeah, they have great music and they write good songs, but I also like them as people. That marketing in the age of AI is never going to go away. I still sleep like a baby. I sleep like a baby. But if I could wave a magic wand, it's the amount of very poorly written, clearly AI, unhuman behavior, understanding, communications, like just really crappy messaging in my inbox, specifically LinkedIn and email. You've got a turd. If you scale a turd, you have a larger turd. If you have bad clients and you get referrals from bad clients and you have bad fulfillment, you have more bad clients and more bad fulfillment.
If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? If the spreadsheets work for you, why not? And we don't necessarily need to staple all these fancy tools onto everything just for the sake of it. Welcome to What Keeps Marketers Up at Night, the show where we unpack what's keeping modern CMOs, growth leads, and marketing ops folks awake and occasionally make them laugh about it. I'm Jeff Spinella from Darwin, where we help teams turn marketing chaos into reliable systems that actually work. Today, I'm joined by Ben Albert. Ben is the founder and podcast host at Real Business Connections. He is also the founder, owner, and CEO of Albert Marketing. Finally, he is a co-founder and CEO of Grow Getters Only. Ben, welcome to the show.
Let's rock and roll, Jeff. I'm excited for this convo. Thanks for having me.
Me as well. Thank you, of course, for coming on. Really appreciate that. So why don't we just start with you telling us a little bit more about your background and your experience?
Yeah, I mean, we could do like 10-part episode because I'm a firm believer that all the things that happened to us in the past are preparing us for who we get to become in the future. So I'll just give you a couple bullet points. I was the quietest kid in school. I was not like a born salesperson or marketer. Like I literally was like small, quiet, hid in the corner. But I wanted to be the next Michael Jordan. So I had a basketball jersey for every single day of the week. Now, I didn't grow up to be Michael Jordan. Actually, since I was small and quiet, kind of got picked on and bullied a lot. High school came along, still a big sports fan, but I found the music industry. And there was other nerdy, creative, weirdos, rebels in the music industry. Before you know it, I was like the local music promoter in high school. And there's a local band, Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. Everyone in the high school, no one's heard of them, had that shirt because I was handing out flyers, running merch booths. And the quiet kid was still introverted. But since I had found a tribe in the music industry, I became the promoter, the advocate. I didn't know what the word marketing was. So that's where it all began. And still to this day, like I like to amplify great leaders. I like to amplify good businesses. And I worked in marketing originally, just like making cold calls, video marketing. Then when the pandemic hit, I was a sales executive for an agency. Pandemic hit, no sales, no travel, no video. I got let go. Music Ben was broke, unemployed, and non-essential. So I had to become Business Ben, who's an entrepreneur, started a Rochester, New York, my hometown, business podcast called Rochester Business Connections, where I sat down with local leaders, like people doing millions and millions in revenue, but they could show up in their pajama pants. I had no clue how to run a business. I had no business connections. I was a marketer for an agency, but I used the podcast to learn and grow. And then I'm going to fast forward, but that was 2020. Now it's 2026. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Still to this day, helping leaders amplify, still running the pod. It's not just Rochester anymore, though. It's Real Business Connections. As you mentioned, also building a community at Grow Getters Only for the peer-to-peer support. And get to have great conversations like this. So that's a broad stroke of my life story. But we're still building it as we go, Jeff.
Absolutely. We're always learning more and more. And sometimes we think we're, at the end of this journey and everything's fine, wonderful. And then We get another roadblock. We got to learn from it as well. I've certainly faced some of those challenges in the past too that you mentioned. Not succeeding necessarily in a role or getting let go. And it's often sometimes the best thing that can happen to you for lighting a fire and finding that right path. I want to say as well, it's incredible to hear that line from promoting music to the marketing space. I feel like I have so many friends who have done that and ended up in marketing. You just don't know that when you're younger, but that's the natural path to take. So it's an amazing thing to hear, and I guess it was in your blood from the early days.
Can I squeeze in a super quick micro lesson?
Of course.
Because I'm a big music guy, music advocate, and the bands now. Great, getting a label and like funding, all that's good. But if you're a small band, if you have like someone who's really extroverted, really happy running the merch booth, or you have like a pretty girl, a girlfriend on the merch booth, and you're high-fiving people and handing out stickers and seeing other bands, all the bands and the venues in the community want to book you. And it's a micro example of what we don't always do in marketing nowadays. It's more that guerrilla marketing approach that the way you make people feel, the more you connect with people, the more you create an image where, yeah, they have great music and they write good songs, but I also like them as people. That marketing in the age of AI is never going to go away because we all can do systems and optimize and we have access to the same tools, but people still buy from humans. And I learned that well before I even knew what the word marketing was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's those intangibles, right? And in this time, like you mentioned, the AI time, those what they call, I think incorrectly, soft skills, I think are really going to be the harder skills moving forward. Great lesson for sure. So in the marketing world, in general, I know this can go any different direction you can think of. What is keeping you up at night this week?
Yeah, we were talking beforehand, and I love the podcast, but it's not keeping me up because I'm just like I'm so over it. I wouldn't say it's keeping me up, but it irritates the heck out of me, Jeff. I still sleep like a baby. I I sleep like a baby. But if I could wave a magic wand, it's the amount of very poorly written, clearly AI, unhuman behavior, understanding, communications, like just really crappy messaging in my inbox, specifically LinkedIn and email. Especially as someone who has hosted a podcast, I had a music show in 2016. The business started in 2020. I have a long history in podcasting. I think I'm on everybody's list. And I get in 5 to 10 emails a day. And you'll probably start getting this as this podcast continues to grow and grow. And what irritates me, we all got to play the game. We all got to grind. I get it. What irritates me is the false authenticity. I listen to your podcast. I love your show. I put some thought into this message and came up with the perfect guest. Here's some topics that would fit your show. A bot wrote that entire thing. They didn't listen. They didn't matchmake the guest. They just used an algorithm to scan my notes, use a recent episode, and insert a guest, whether or not they're a good fit. And that's just a terrible approach at life. It's a terrible approach at business. I've got the perfect product for you. It's a star, and I know you need a circle, but I'm still going to take your star and shove it into your circle. I'm going to take your square and I'm going to shove it into your triangle hole. And as a marketer who understands messaging, maybe other people don't, and I'm just like, keeps you up at night, irritates you. Maybe other people don't see it this way. It's so obvious to me, and it's so flat, and it's so inauthentic, and I wouldn't say never, but I probably will never invite one of those people on my show because of that message.
Don't blame you. And I have actually gotten a few of those myself, just a couple thus far. I know exactly what you mean. We reached out to you, which our team does with humans, and obviously that worked, right? But I can't.
If someone's reaching out to me, I'll say yes because I love me, Jeff. But and I'm blessed, and I'll say this and I'll shut up. I'm blessed to be on your platform. You're putting time, effort, editing into this, so I get that. But when people want my platform and they don't treat it with respect, I handle it a little differently. Your show was a great fit for what the people I want to talk to, so it was an easy yes. But it's a harder yes when someone's pitching to be on my show because I'm just my precious kind of thing.
I get it. Yeah, your time is absolutely valuable, and these messages, they do read like robots. It's true, and they're all the same. I see them a lot in the LinkedIn posts, which I'm sure you do too. Everybody's got their long thesis nowadays with full of their M dashes, which they can't even pull out, which they should be doing. It's really bad. I think it's bad for marketing when we all have the same style and sound, and people can tell it's not authentic at all, right? I will admit that I've been guilty of it all, to sometimes think, well, I could just maybe have AI write something quick for me. But even after you read it, you got to at least tighten it up. You got to make it a little more authentic. I think people are just not doing that. They're just using bots and scripts like that, which is completely agree, which is no good. But I do want to sort of twist the knife on this one a little bit, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Now that we're speaking about the inauthenticity of AI and or this AI writing, what AI tools do you use for your general marketing tasks or process or day to day or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I mean, I use it for writing. Everything we just said. Now, I'm
Yes.
not scrubbing a CSV file list and auto sending 5,000 people the same message, pretending that it's unique. To give you a really simple example, and I don't think there's anything inauthentic about this, started posting on LinkedIn in 2020 before AI, used to post 5 times a week, really built a personal brand, love LinkedIn. I'm really irritated with LinkedIn because of the amount of crap and filth coming my way on it, but that's beside the point. Nowadays, starting this year, I launched Ben's Bites, which is my email, just messaging, and it Monday through Friday, 1 email a day, literally a 10-second read. It's like 2 to 4 sentences. It's a bite. It's a nugget. It's something actionable with like a call to action. Like, what are you going to do this week about this kind of thing? The way I'm writing Ben's Bites is I'm taking my stack of previous LinkedIn posts. I'm also taking transcripts from all my previous podcasts and some random things that just pop up in the news. And I'm using AI to take a 4-paragraph post or an hour-long podcast and turn it into 2 to 4 sentences. So it's taking Ben's ideas or Ben's guests' ideas and distilling it to the essential, like pithy, tweetable nugget and sending 1 nugget a day. And the reply rate on those emails is insane. It's a conversation starter, but I'm just saying it on your podcast transparently. I didn't write those posts. AI did, but I did distill the ideas. I didn't just go on ChatGPT and say, give me a year worth of marketing posts. I used it to repurpose ideas that already work. And that's just one example.
Yeah, and that is the more human way to do it, right? Because you've already come up with these ideas on your own. You've already written these organically. This is what AI is meant to do. It's meant to do the dirty work, the challenging work, the less fun work. It can't really replace, maybe in my opinion for now, that creative, that human, that authentic voice, which we really need, especially nowadays. How about on the side of your, let's say, do you have a CRM you use or any sort of outreach where you're trying to attract leads or prospects? Is that something you do in your business at all? And if so, do you use the AI for anything like that?
Yeah, not really. I'm not the guy, Jeff. I'm like so old school. I don't have a sexy CRM. I'm not doing a ton of AI outreach currently. Yeah, I'm almost like a no across the board. The one thing, and I'm just being transparent on your podcast, the biggest thing lacking in my business is like an operations maniac because I'm good at the strategy. I'm good at the marketing. I'm not good at the operations systems end of things. So, man, I have just a classic spreadsheet. And then every platform I can pull CSV files, but I'm not doing a lot of cold outbound outreach using any tools or AIs. So I'm open to suggestions, and I'm also open to other episodes where people can educate a little bit better than I would.
Absolutely. I would say our first episode, Stan Bertleroot, excuse me, he had a ton of tools to use, but again, we don't want to get too heavy on the AI because some people rely on it too much. I think we were talking about this earlier about if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? If the spreadsheets work for you, why not? And we don't necessarily need to staple all these fancy tools onto everything just for the sake of it, right?
I don't recommend the old school way.
Yeah. No. But if it works for you, right?
Well, so there's 2 main like products I'm selling. It's the community, and I'm the face of the community, and I'm trying to like build blocks. I almost said bridges and blocks at the same time. Place blocks, build bridges. So I stay in touch with my community members, and an old fashioned way allows me to authentically do that. And then my marketing services are not cheap. So since I'm not selling SaaS products or cheaper widgets, it's actually better for me to have less prospects and deeply develop those relationships than have a CRM with 10,000. So because the way I built my business, it's less of a need. That being said, I guarantee I could optimize. I guarantee I could do it better.
Yeah, there's a great lesson there too about, for B2Bs. Let's say we're talking about a B2B situation with your business as well. It's not necessarily the best idea to try to scale or grow extremely fast. Sometimes it's better to pick and choose the right clients for you. Sometimes you degrade your quality if you stretch yourself too thin as well. And I think the other great point you make about that is, again, we're talking about that human voice, of that authentic voice of you locally. You can't really replace that with a bot or robot. Your voice, your face, you being present with people is the real magic there that makes the business work. So I can certainly see why, being a little bit old school, so to speak, in this case, is probably the better choice and makes much more sense.
Dude, I feel too young to be old school, but who knows? Times are changing quick.
They are. All right, Ben. So question for you here. I know you have a ton of experience, even though you may feel a little old school in your methods. I'm very curious. We have a nightmare story segment here. Want to hear about your worst campaign, your worst system failure, your worst podcast recording, whatever the worst thing that happened here in the marketing space for you in your past.
Yeah, so we'll talk where old school and loving relationships, connections, trusting people can go wrong. Classic move. I made a deal on barter, and we won't get into the accounting end of things. That can get a little complicated. But had a buddy, or I don't know, I thought he was my buddy, and they had a home improvement company. And our home needed some improvements. So all sorts of stuff. I don't know if people are nerdy and want the details, but everything from deck to a little bit of work on the siding, et cetera, helping with the patio, this and that. $15,000 worth of work. But what we did is, since I had a marketing firm, is they signed a contract for a year, a 12-month contract. It did not cover all the work, but they signed a contract to work with me for a year. And then I signed a contract to get all this work done. It wasn't the cheapest. Honestly, after the work was done, it wasn't the best. But since I make money on having them as a client, they make money. It's kind of a win-win for everybody. 2.5 months in, they decide they no longer want to work with me. Doesn't matter that they signed a contract. Won't get into every boring detail, but I'm like, that's not how this works. And like, I can pay you the money I owe you, but I need to take it out of the year-long contract. And as a marketer who did a lot of things with the rebuild of their website, SEO, some preliminary research, I had already front-loaded a lot of work. I even built like 6 months worth of like content calendar stuff. So I front loaded a lot of work. So even if we were to stop now, it's not like I only did a month or two of work. I front loaded the year because I'm with you for a year. So all that being said, it got us to a point where they're like, we're going to put a lien on your house. And I'm like, I don't think you can do that. Long story short, had to get an attorney involved, had to take less than we had agreed upon in the contract. They hadn't fulfilled all their work yet. So nobody was happy in the end. Now, I could say I was happy because I had some work done, but it was not a good experience. And it was as simple as a classic, like, two buddies, let's do this on barter, everybody wins. But the contracts weren't clear enough. I hadn't vetted the company well enough. And I had never run a business. This was my second year in business. So I didn't quite know that these kind of things could happen. And whether you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or on the team, marketing and sales, like a too good to be true verbal agreement with poor writing isn't the best method at all. You're almost better off just paying each other outright. But I had to learn the hard way, get attorneys involved. And like for me, like my girlfriend's an accountant and she's like, you promise to deliver the service and they promise to pay you, you have to deliver it. And I'm like, I don't even want to deliver it anymore. So it's getting into agreements that aren't the right agreements. You already touched on it. The wrong clients, the wrong partnerships. Yeah, money is one thing, but the emotional toll was even worse than the money toll. It was just very stressful.
Yeah, wow. That is quite the nightmare. I have not heard yet anyone I've spoken to talk about lawyers getting involved. Oh my word. Incredible. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And there's so many great lessons, like you said, you take out of that though, right? It's bulletproof contracts, making sure you vet who you're working with. It's something that, of course, at an agency where we work at Darwin, we do our best to serve our clients the best we can. But sometimes there's a client that comes along, they're not the right fit, and it's better to get out before things get a little bit uncomfortable than stay in there and just sort of pray that things will improve if you can't have that agreement you come to, right? So I'm sorry. I'm glad that's over for you, because that sounds like a nightmare. Yeah, pretty standard. But sign your contracts, vet the company, get it all run by a lawyer, right? These are lessons we learn in business.
And every company's been through this if they have a team. I've been on a team that did this. Like maybe your salespeople are setting expectations that are unrealistic for your marketing and fulfillment team. And that's a similar, smaller example of that. If you got people making promises that isn't in your systems to deliver, that can create toxicity and it just creates for a bad business, Jeff.
No question about it. That's a lesson for everybody. And I know that you probably know this more than anybody else. Always need to connect sales and marketing, right? It used to be sort of two different silos. A lot of companies, would separate them. They might not talk. It's one thing nowadays, right? And it should be one thing.
I agree.
The difference, you're just going to have misalignment. You're going to waste dollars on sales people and chasing the wrong folks. You're going to waste money on marketing if you don't have alignment on what you're selling and what who you're trying to attract. I do want to jump back into the marketing space here. I'm curious with our. This is one of my favorite questions here. I want to know, what is your most unpopular marketing opinion that maybe would go against what everybody else would say should be the rule?
I don't even know if this is unpopular or not, but I still to this day believe less is more. Now, mathematically, more is more, and more of a good thing is amplifying a good thing. But let me give you an analogy. You've got a turd. If you scale a turd, you have a larger turd. If you have bad clients and you get referrals from bad clients and you have bad fulfillment, you have more bad clients and more bad fulfillment. A lot of marketers talk about numbers and leads and revenue per month. I can get you 1,000 leads per month, boom, just like that. Or I can scale you from 10,000 to 100,000 a month, just like that. And I don't necessarily think more equals better. And another thing, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but in this regard, I'd rather challenge you, and you need to be able to market and sell. That's the caveat. But I'd rather challenge someone on a really, really good product than good marketing. Because if your product's good enough and your marketing's decent, it's easy to get referrals. It's easy to get testimonials. It's easy. You create a movement and a tribe, and you slowly build a brand that stands the test of time. And there isn't churning and burning happening if you create a really good product. Now, the caveat is you need to be able to sell the product. You need to be able to market the product. You need to be able to differentiate yourself. But most marketers care more about marketing than product development. And I think product development actually is what makes marketing so easy, because the product development creates quality results and then you just market the results. So more does not equal more. You need to scale a good thing. So less is more until you have lightning in a bottle, and then you can amplify. But I think people move too quickly. I had someone ask me once, like, if you had zero money to your name and you had to make $100,000 this week, what would you do? And I'm like, everything in that scenario is exactly wrong. Like, I would have planned 6 months in advance for this week. And if this is the situation I'm in, I'm just going to accept the fact that I might not make 100K this week, because fast isn't necessarily better when it comes to branding and marketing long term.
And it reminds me of another good phrase: go slow to go fast. got to get the right things, the fundamentals right. Take your time on that before you can scale. Uh, and I think you hit on something else there. There's a great book out there by Seth Godin called Purple Cow, which is very famous. And it talks about your service or your product needs to be remarkable, right? It needs to be remarkable. And that's half the battle for selling. And if your product's amazing, you got to do less work on the marketing side, convincing people to come and look at it or try it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing lessons there, and really something to consider for those who are maybe struggling a little bit on the marketing side, and maybe have a word with your product team or someone else to say, hey, we need something more interesting. Or I'm not saying pass the buck, but you never know if you think about it, and even if you look at it from that 10,000 foot view, what you might find out.
Well, dude, Jeff, real quick, you could do the exact same argument on the other end of things, because so many people just spend all their time delivering their product and they haven't pre-sold, they haven't talked to anyone, they haven't marketed, they don't even know if the audience needs it. So there does need to be a Venn diagram of what the audience needs and what you are uniquely positioned to build. But so many people just pitch and don't build anything good, or a lot of people build something good and they don't market or pitch. So you could kind of take either end of the argument. I just think marketers just want to scale, and you forget about the product development.
Forgive me, team. We have some dogs barking in the background, if that's what you're hearing. But I'm going to push through here because that's what a true professional does. I want to get to our topic of the week, Ben. Apple, they just released videos for podcasts, which means you can watch a podcast on your device. You can transition seamlessly to listening to the audio in your car. As a podcast guru, really, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it's awesome. Spotify already has done this. This isn't like new that you can have a video podcast. And Diary of a CEO is a great example. I don't know their audio numbers offhand, but you can just go to Diary of a CEO YouTube channel. They're creating a TV show. Like his vision is to be on airplanes. So podcasts are video now. And Apple literally it used to be called an iPod. That's where the term podcast came from. So the fact everyone has a video podcast and Apple's just now launching video is kind of like we've been doing this already, Apple. But I think a lot of people have moved to Spotify. A lot of people are on YouTube. A lot of people watch on their TV. But I don't know the numbers, but over almost 50% of the world has an iPhone. iPhone users are like a cult. They hate Android users. iPhone users love their iPhone. And the fact I can watch a podcast on my TV, move it to my computer, and then pull my iPhone and then take it with me in the car, and seamlessly just not use mobile data, just do the audio from the car. I think it's just going to be a better user experience. And you know this as well as anybody with AI and marketing and the changes. It's user first. We want to be able to do exactly what we want when we want. So I think this is new news, but it's kind of like old news. Like where have you been, Apple? But I think it's just going to strengthen their popularity and possibly have people shift back from Spotify or some third-party different apps, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, back over to Apple Podcasts. And I don't even know. I'm kind of just shooting from the cuff. I wonder if they're going to change the name from Apple Podcasts to Apple TV or Apple Video. Who knows?
That's what action is in their DNA for sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's a no-brainer, right? Why is it taking so long? And things like this that have taken so long. Maybe that's why they're so behind in the war with Spotify, with Apple Music. Despite if you're a music guy like you know that the Apple Music's quality of the music on the tracks is so much better than Spotify, but they just don't have the traction that Spotify has, right?
Yeah. Amazon's the best, and I don't know anyone who uses Amazon Music. It comes with your Prime membership. I'm advertising it. I don't use it at all, but they have the highest bit rate. But part of that's marketing and branding long term. Really is all it is.
Yeah, agreed. And potentially their player is not super friendly to devices. Who knows? But they're certainly lagging far behind. No question on that. Got one more question here before we wrap up. It's been amazing having you here, Ben. I really appreciate you joining. In the theme of our podcast, what keeps marketers up at night? After everything we've covered here in the marketing world, if there was something to change or something in your business you could change, what would finally help you sleep? And I know you sleep amazingly, so this is maybe the best question. What would help you sleep better at night?
Yeah. Keep the human a part of it. Most experienced marketers have already studied human behavior. They've done audience analysis. They maybe got into marketing because they like psychology, sociology. Don't take that understanding and learning and I just outsource it to the AI, because then you don't know when your messaging's bad. And maybe AI will get to the point where it's just good, period. And maybe this is me being emotional, but I like the feeling of sending Jeff a message. Like, I put my personality into it, and I don't want to be so disenchanted that I just outsource everything and I lose the purpose of marketing, which is human beings creating products, services for other human beings, and finding solutions, platforms, ways to get that out and help more people. The emotional side of me just wants to keep the human in that process, optimize the crap out of everything. But don't forget, like, the purpose of living is helping other humans, human connections, helping the planet. So keep your personality in it, because that's why they take your fingerprint when you get in trouble. We have a unique fingerprint. I found this actually with some of my writing, the more I outsource, the more I didn't even realize, like, what does Ben believe? Am I just regurgitating stuff that I heard on a podcast yesterday? Or what are my beliefs? So just consider that. Consider, who are you? What do you believe? And how can you show up and differentiate in a marketplace where the AI is going to vanilla everything? You got to be that unicorn, or what are the pink goldfish, or what's the Seth Godin book? It's beyond
Purple
me
Cow.
right now. Purple Cow. There we go. You got to be the purple cow.
Yep. And I'll say here, just speaking about the truth, Ben, I emailed with him a lot back and forth prior to this podcast. I enjoyed it. It felt like I was talking with a real person. He used exclamation points to show that he was excited to come. You use regular human language. I can't tell you how refreshing that is to have a nice conversation with someone with enthusiasm. You can tell it's them. And so I really appreciate that. And I agree, to a fault here. So thank you for that message here. I know that sort of was a good wrap up. Any final words, though, before we do sign off?
It's lonely sometimes as a marketer creating stuff. Leave a comment. Let us know what's up. Send a DM. So like, rate, subscribe, any of that stuff. If you want to find real business connections, it's probably wherever you found this. So just go to the search browser, type in real business connections, or just Google it. And if you want to be in a community of other marketers, salespeople, and entrepreneurs, that's Grow Getters Only, weallgrowtogether.com. But that's a sequence, Jeff. Love on this first. If you do that, I permit you rights to type in real business connections. If you do that and you want peer-to-peer support, that's when you would go to weallgrowtogether.com. But more than anything, man, I appreciate you having me on. This is fun.
It's been fantastic. Really, really appreciate that and that kind message. Thank you for the support. Everybody go support Ben and his projects too. We will certainly be tagging them in our posts. Thank you so much, Ben. Let me wrap up here by saying you've been listening to What Keeps Marketers Up at Night, brought to you by Darwin, the team that helps CMOs finally trust their data and sleep a little better. Subscribe, share, and get some rest. You've earned it. Thanks again, Ben.
Thank you.